And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Thursday Live. I was going to say Monday Night Live, but it's not. It's Thursday Live. Good evening, all my UK friends. How are you all doing today? Hopefully, really, really well. We are finishing up this, or we're gonna do a bunch on this. I don't know if we'll have time to finish the whole thing, but this little SeaBee painting that I started last Monday or this Monday. So we're gonna do a little bit of work on that. And that's what I got today. So that's what's going on. I'm way ahead on my 543s for Monday too. I'm super excited. I only have one more to do, which when that happens, it means I have a weekend because I don't have to do them over the weekend, which is always nice. So that's what's going on. All right, so let's switch around and we'll get rolling. Actually, I'll go to this one first while I make sure that I'm actually live. This might be. It might not be. You never know. Yeah, we are. Sure we are. It doesn't really show. There we go. Come on. Come on now. Try that again. I don't know why it takes time to refresh like that. There it is. I got it. I'm up to speed now. So hello, everyone. There we go. Oh, I didn't even put a message. Tim, what's up? Ready to rumble? There we go. Now I got comments. Great feed, Tim. I only saw the very end of it. I was able to jump in right at the end of it. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's the cool thing about this one that you're working on now is how dark it is to start. How much of that underpainting because she's such in the kind of the shadow of those candles, yet by locking in that color right in the middle, how that's, you can already feel it just from that one spot you did on her cheek. So very, very cool. All right, so this is what we got. This is the SeaBee painting. This is where we're at. It looks a little different than it was Monday, and I'll tell you why. Because I redid the whole thing. This is when being an impatient cow doesn't pay off, which it usually never pays off, but it's definitely didn't pay off with this one. So what happened was, if you notice the machine gun, actually I'll switch to this one, it might be easier to see. So his little machine gun and the wrench and the hammer are silver. They're an aluminum leaf. So I did that after I finished Monday, because I wasn't sure how I was going to do that. I was going to use some silver paint and and I ended up going with aluminum leaf. So you've seen me do, I think you guys have seen me do leaf before. And if you haven't, I will give you a spoiler. This Tuesday's Tech Tuesday, I do a little bit of gold leafing on the time lapse. So you'll be able to see how that process works. But anyway, in order to get these really super sharp edges on the aluminum leaf, when you put the sizing down, I use an adhesive stencil. I just use clear, actually for this I used FBS gold tape, the wide stuff. So the problem was, because I'm a dumbass, actually that wasn't really the problem to start. I did that was fine. But if you notice, the wings are kind of this disappearing, color changing sparkle. After I was done with the aluminum leaf, I put all that down, and then I used an adhesive mask on the wings. I had already shaded the aluminum leaf, and when I used the adhesive mask on this, I wasn't even thinking. I just put it down, and it had gone across the top of this leaf. So when I pull the mask off, what you don't do is you don't put adhesive mask on leaf before it's cleared. And I pulled off the half of the aluminum and a bunch of the shading. It was basically a mess. I thought I could try to save it, but as I started getting into the repair, I'm like, you know what? By the time I spent all this time trying to make it look good, and the aluminum leaf will never look the same because it was damaged, I'm like, I'm just going to redo it, and I did. So I redid the entire thing, the bottom two. So yeah. So now you're caught up. I think you're caught up. I think that's dark enough, light enough. Enzo, what's up, buddy? Driving home from Florida. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I was reading that you had to go down to Florida to pick it up. That's really cool. Hopefully they got you something fun since you're going to be driving it. That's awesome. All right. I'm going to show you a couple things today. And this is fun for the graphic side of it. You know, this little bee, I'm going to put some shading on him, and that's what we'll do today. But he's not, he's not super realistic. Obviously, he's the original cartoon. And actually, let me wink the gentleman this is for, Winks Welding, who's on Monday night all the time. This is who the painting is for, and he had sent me a couple things over the week, and I'm just looking them up right now. Because I had said on the Monday night feed, I wasn't sure who drew the little original SeaBee drawing, and it was Frank Iafrate, a clerk at the Naval Air Station at Quonset Point, which is in Rhode Island, and he was asked to create the insignia out of a group of 250, or for the group of 250. The other thing he mentioned too that I didn't realize, so this particular group of people, they have the nickname SeaBees. That comes from what they are. So they're a combat battalion or construction battalion, and that's where the name comes from, C and B, SeaBee. So pretty fun. Anyway, there's your SeaBee history. All right, so we're gonna do one quick thing first. We're not gonna do the whole thing for this, but is this light enough? Probably not, but yeah, it is. What I really should have done is I really should have hired Marge to cut the steelworker part out on a plotter. But she's super busy with all her stuff, so I didn't ask her. I didn't bug her. But as a result, this looks very handmade. So I'm going to show you real quick how I fix it, how I make it look better without a plotter. But we're not going to do all of it because it is super nitpicky. So what I do, this black background, which now you can see pretty well because I have UVLS gloss on it. And I do that because you can't, it's difficult to paint directly onto the leaf. It just pools up. It doesn't absorb it at all because it's metal. So it just sits on the surface and beads up, and it's terrible. So I put gloss over it and then I can paint on it. But now you can see the color. It's this metallic blue. It's very, very cool. Franz, what's up? Kelly Drake, what's happening, buddy? Simon Carter, hello. Simon, thank you for being there yesterday too on the Tokyo painting. And yes, I totally missed the shades on the window, so I'm going to put those in. You won't see that on the next episode because I already filmed the next episode, but I'll put them in on episode 6. All right, so it's blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of put a fake outline around this, and fake meaning, it's not going to be a true outline where it'll be a completely different color. This is going to be close to that blue color, maybe a little bit darker. And what it's designed to do is clean up these letters, but it's going to be, it's going to show up, but it's not going to show up a lot. But when it does show up, it's going to look like an outline. So that's the trick. So I'll show you kind of how I fix this. And I got to put on my fancy gloves so I don't get grease all over this. Oh, that's awesome, Enzo. That's nice. I think, wow, I think Mercedes, they're the only ones making that's a smaller size van, right? It's funny, I was entertaining I have a couple things going on for the fall, and I was entertaining the idea of getting one of those transit vans, the Ford Transit van, or the little Mercedes. But I started finding out that Nissan and Ford, they're all discontinuing that little small van. They're all gone. So there it is. All right, so what I just put out was opaque phthalo blue, which you can't see because I don't have the palette cam on. So let's do that so you can see what's going on over there. Give it 2 seconds to warm up. There it is. Okay, so that's phthalo blue up here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I could just use straight phthalo blue for this, but I'm going to add a little bit of black to it, and here's the reason why. That's too much black. I want it to be different than the background color. I want it to be real close to the background color, but I also want it to be different than the background color. Again, because I want it to look intentional, even though it's not. So if I try to do it just in blue, it's going to look like a repair. You know what I mean? You'll see that blue kind of wonky outline. But if it's kind of a bluish black and I take care of it, it'll look like an outline. So hopefully that makes sense. You should convert a Mercedes van into a portable airbrush studio. See, it was kind of not the painting part of it, Tim, but I was thinking about the taking it on the road part of it. But then when I saw that the an E-Series Ford full-size van is about 70 grand right now, I'm like, well, let's think of something else. Because if I had 70, or if I was going to spend 70 grand on a vehicle, it wasn't going to be a Ford, van. All right, so what I got to do is, when you look at this, the thing that makes it look wonky, aside from everything, is the imperfection in the thickness of the letters. It's the non-straightness of the whole thing in general. So those are the things you kind of like attack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by fixing the bottom. And when I fix the bottom, it's going to make the whole thing look better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a ruler as a straight edge. Make sure I got this at the right thickness, because it does have to flow off the brush, but it also has to be fairly opaque. So what I'm doing is I'm using opaque phthalo blue and opaque black to pull this off. So it works out pretty well. All right. It's also super difficult to see because it's this darker color on blue, or bluish color on blue. But again, that's the idea. So once I get it lined up and I can see that the paint is kind of flowing off, now I can just run right across this thing. And I'm doing all the baselines of all the letters. Now I just clipped off the serif on this L. I don't care about that because I can always just add that back in. I'm more concerned about making sure this line is nice and straight on each one of the bottoms of these letters. Like I said, we're not going to do a ton of this. I'm just going to kind of show you how I clean it up, and then I'll end up cleaning it up on my own. That's too much paint. So I'm just running right across the bottom. And because I use the ruler now, I know that that whole line is nice and straight. Now, what I would do is flip it upside down, do the same thing on the top. And that would straighten out the top as well. If there was a letter that was just like the R is probably too short, so even though I would go across the top, the R would still be too short, I would add a little bit of white on the top of that and then, fix the inside of the letter. And then the next thing to do is to just finish, the rest of the letters. And this is why I'm not going to do this now, because it's going to take a while. Like on the S, since I did use a little bit of why is this so thin? I used a little bit of a, because I added reducer to it. On the S, what was I going to say? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I used the stencil to cut it out. And actually a little bit of daylight blue too, maybe. So there we go. So the stencil, I'll show you that in a minute. The stencil was just there to kind of show me where everything was supposed to go. Because, like the O, for instance, if I cut all of the O out, the middle would also be cut out. So I'll show you what I did with that. But now the idea is just kind of go around and clean up all the edges. I do have to outline the whole letter though, again, because if this shows up, which it might not. I mean, I might luck out a lot and it just won't even show up at all, which is ideal. But again, I got a plan for that showing up. Now again, the real way to do this would have been to have these letters cut out on a plotter. With some adhesive mask, and then I would have been good to go. But didn't have that ability. We have a big Roland plotter here, but again, Marge is in the middle of getting ready for Saturday and everything, so I didn't want to bug her. But that's it. So we just run around the whole thing and clean it all up, and that's it. It wouldn't take me long, maybe about 10 minutes to do, 15, 20 minutes to do all the letters, but that's how that works. Roberto, what's up? All right, so let's get to the B. Let's do some more fun stuff. Make sure we get the B here. Who else have I got here? I said hello to Kelly and Simon. Wait, what did Tim say? Oh, yeah. And then Marge and I were also, when you're just sitting around talking about all kinds of fun stuff. There was, I forget where I saw it. I think it was one of the video game companies had a full-size bus that had been converted into this like mobile gaming thing. So we're like, wouldn't that be cool to do like a full-size bus and have just like a giant airbrush studio, like teaching studio that you could roll around and do all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, that would have been awesome. All right, what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm just going to show you guys bits and pieces of this. Again, because to do the whole thing, I mean, we'll hang out for a while, and I'll get as much done as I can, but a lot of this is just rinse and repeat. Here's my steel worker template, and all you can see kind of what I cut out here. So like for the last R, I didn't need the loop. I just needed, the parts of it. So, all right. And again, it says UVLS gloss all over it because, again, I wish I could show you. I don't even think it'll work on this, but I'll try it. So this is obviously an aluminum ruler. So when you go to paint, create text, watch, this is going to work really well on this for some reason, but no, it doesn't. Okay, good. So see when I paint with this, see how it just beads up into this really thin kind of weird pattern? So that's what happens when you paint on leaf as well. So what you got to do is you got to put another layer on it. So this has, like I said, it says UVLS gloss on it, which is going to work really well. So let me show you. I'll do the outline on the gun first, and then yeah, and then we'll roll. So all the outline on this is black, which I think I should put out more black because this black is kind of iffy. The Airbus. Tim, you got to patent that. I'd have to get my CDL license though, the hydraulic license, so I could drive a bus like that. Or I could just hire my brother. My brother on the side has his, in Canada, he has, I don't know what they call it in Canada, but he has his license to drive buses. So maybe I'll just hire him to do it. So now, because this has UVLS gloss on it, let me get a bunch of this so it flows off a little bit. This won't do the same pool trick, it'll just go down like I'm painting on paint, which is just what we want. I was going to grab different brushes to kind of show you some different, some different brushes as well, but just going to get this done. This is the brush I would normally use for all this stuff anyway. You can use different brushes. There are lining brushes and things like that, which all work, all work differently. You just got to kind of find the one that works best for you. Imagine going from city to city, teaching and selling art. Yeah, what did I do there? Is that black? Here's the other nice thing too. Yeah, I know you guys can't see it because it's at a bad angle, but I think I got black on the thing. But because this has gloss all over it, UVLS gloss, I could literally just sand that and get it off, but I'm going to use water to start because when doing a repair like this where I got a little bit of black paint on here, you start with the least aggressive method, and so I have a paper towel here with water, and that got it off. You see a little smudge right there. And I didn't have to mess with it, but I could literally take sandpaper to this now, the whole thing, and go over it because I use gloss all over it. City teaching. Yeah, that, I don't know. I wish I had another lifetime, Tim. So many good ideas about everything. All right. Black. So let me do the main part of the gun here, and then we'll do the airbrushing on it just so you can kind of see how the whole process works. And then I'm just going to kind of, like I said, it's a lot of rinse and repeat. It's just working around the whole image until it's all outlined and shaded and all that stuff. Now, the original drawing doesn't have shading on it, so that is the liberty, one of the liberties that I'm taking. The other liberty, again, is the wings. These have gem jade on them, which is a color shifting paint. The original is just kind of white. So I want to do something a little bit different, just so if someone looked at this, it wouldn't look like it's just a sticker on there, It's got some stuff on there that can't be printed. If I was your driver, we'd be having too much fun to drive. I know, right? We wouldn't get anything done, Bob. That's all right. We'd bring Dee, and then she'd keep us all in line. So again, this, even though it has gloss on it, sometimes because the paint, this paint is not designed really for brush work. Obviously you can do it. I do it all the time. Make sure it's focused. It's hard to see. But it's not meant for it, so you got to kind of coerce it. And because it's not really meant for it, sometimes, you know, to get it to go down the right way, you have to like over reduce it a little bit to get it to flow. And then, you know, and that makes it a little bit tougher to kind of mess with. But you do get used to the technique, you know, which is what I'm doing is I'm just kind of, and I mentioned this on the video last night. You kind of touch the surface and let the paint start to, you know, you get that paint on the surface, and then as you drag the brush, you're literally like pulling the paint out of the brush. It's not like it's flowing off the brush. It's literally being pulled out. Like picture the paint being like a rope, you know, inside the brush. So you put that dot down, it attaches the rope, and now you're pulling it, and you're, you know, kind of allowing the paint to be pulled out. So the paint has to be the right consistency to be able to do that. If it's too thick, the rope breaks and it just skips. You know, if it's too wet, then the whole rope comes out all at once. You know, like I used the anchor of a ship as a, you know, as an example. But so it takes a little bit of kind of messing with it to get the right consistency, but you do get it down, and you know it does work. Sometimes you have to let it dry a little bit and then go over it again, but for the most part it's pretty straightforward. Wait, is it? Oh, it's a Tommy gun. Yeah, the good old SeaBees. All right, so got a thin line here. This thin line here that I'm doing right now, there's no way I could ever get this to work unless I had the clear on it. This line would just be a bunch of tiny little dots as it kind of sucked together. Trust me, I know, because I've tried, and it happens the same way on gold leaf too. Like the gold leaf paintings, those 543s or whatever, when I do gold leaf, I have to put a clear on it before I do any painting on it, because it'll just pool up. I mean, you can get enough paint on it once it starts to stick to kind of, you know, get it to work, but it's just insane. It's stupid. Oh, that's good. That's wild. I didn't know that, Bob. The nose for comments. Nice. Yes, the Scotch tour bus. All right, so this bottom line here, I got a little bit of a spot right there. Once that's dry, there are a couple things you can do. Again, there's clear on this, so I have some options here. I can use a knife. This is obviously super dangerous because it's easy to go through everything with an X-Acto knife. So I just want to, with just the lightest of touch, just kind of drag the tip of the blade across this, and what I can do is I can just scratch off the extra paint. You can use an eraser. In that case I couldn't really because it's too thin, but you can also use an eraser too, like a harder eraser that's sharp. You can do that as well, because again, this is the nice thing about working on clear, it's right there. All right, I think do I have black in the brush? I will in a second. So what I have is a cutout that I already made, because we've already done this whole thing once, and I have the shading cut out here. Oh, incidentally, fun note, the transparency of the body behind the wing, that's not the gem jade that's doing that. I actually painted this stripe gray and this stripe like a light. Yeah, a light, whatever. Let me know if you guys are getting any buffering. Trying to keep an eye on things. Come on. Got it here somewhere. There were a lot of cutouts for this. All right, so there's my shading. cutout. So I just want to line this up. I may have to do each piece individually if they're not lined up real well, but I think it is. Just getting some buffering now. Okay, yeah, I can, hold on one second. Let me see if I can, you may disappear for a second. Oh no, I can't change, yeah, everything seems to be okay here. I don't know what's going on. All right, give that a minute. Let's see what happens. If it keeps acting up, then yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Sound buffering in the last 4 minutes. Okay, yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. Maybe hopefully that'll clear. Okay. Yeah, with the alignment part of it, yeah, it's it shouldn't with this because it's so simple, but it always does, you know, when you're dealing with a bunch of little bits and pieces. So I'm just going to grab some reduced black, and the same thing here. Now, airbrushing on leaf is a little bit easier. It doesn't pool as much because you can control, one, how fast it dries, because you can put a little bit of paint and a lot of air down. And two, yeah, hopefully that's what it is, Tim. But again, because I have the clear coat on this, the gloss clear, this just, when I'm painting this, it's like painting anything else. It's really nice. So, so for this part of the, what is it called on a Tommy gun? Is it still a cartridge? I think it is. So I'm just going to fade it from the top to the bottom, dark to, you know, dark to nothing. And then the bottom of the barrel here gets it. Gremlins are shifting lines. Yeah, probably, and they're hiding socks as well. And then the chrome effect on the wrench and everything, I'll do that the same way. So I'm just going to kind of hit the top of this a little bit and let the softness of the spray on the bottom do the job. For the hammer, it's a little bit different. It's the same idea, but it's the horizon line is up and down on the hammer. There we go. So I just did all three of those. I'm going to leave the black in the brush because black is what I'll be using. There we go. Pretty, pretty. Oh, the vent holes here. Oh, and yeah, we can do a little bit of show and tell. Did in the comments, you guys, did I show you guys the framed egg painting on YouTube yet? Did I finish that before last week's feed, or was it after last week's feed? Let me know, because I can show you that one. I'm happy with that. We painted the egg last week, didn't we? Didn't we finish it last week on the feed? I think that was last week's feed. I'm getting all confused. I got that one done, and I have the 543s too. All right, so that's pretty much how that rolls. So I'm going to do that shading on the whole bee. So the bee doesn't have any shading on him in the original drawing, but I'm going to put all the shading on, and I'll have the light coming from probably up here, looking down. You're talking about Sherman tanks. I love it, you guys. It's awesome. All right, so now I'm just going to keep going. So I'm going to work from left to right, just that way to keep my hand from dragging, you know, through anything I've already painted. Oh boy, oh boy. So it's been a week. It's been a week, that's for sure. We Ohio had a bunch of storms. And so house, the roof took a hit. We're fine and everything, but did a number on the roof, so we've been having people come over to look at that, and then the air conditioner decided to stop working, and it was 100 degrees last week, and Marge is trying to get ready for the farmer's market without air conditioning and 150 degrees, baking. So yeah, it's been a week. But that's how it goes, right? Yeah, Bob supplied me. I still have all the photos. So there's a huge is it a military exercise, Bob, Maple Leaf, or is it more like, I think it is. But any of it, he sent me a bunch of pictures. It's tons of different, all these, different countries, air forces have all their planes and stuff and show up, and very, very cool stuff. So Bob was kind enough to send me a bunch of pictures that you normally can't get, like actually, like on the airfield and everything. So I've got a lot of good reference photos. All right. So so I was just kind of talking, but that's how this goes. And it's fun. It's a nice change of pace from the normal stuff I do. This cartoony type stuff is it's like I said, it's just a nice change of pace. Kind of getting into it with like the Tokyo painting and super like high detail, like exacting stuff. And this is just kind of like working in a coloring book, which is nice. It's a good change of pace. And I'm going to have this done in plenty of time. The goal was to have this ready so I could bring it back with me to New England so that Keith could stripe it, and then he's going to take care of clearing it, and then Wink is going to get it. So all right. There are two ways to do this. I could airbrush the shading first and then do all the outline, or do it this way. Because the outline on this is so chunky anyway, it doesn't really matter which order it goes in, because I can always like fix something if it goes sideways. Yeah, this is not really flowing very well. The reason why, and you can tell because there's a gap in the middle of the line, and that's just because in order to get the paint to flow off, I got to push a little bit harder, and when I push a little bit harder, the tip of the paintbrush makes contact a little bit too hard, and then it doesn't do the right thing. I got to find out about the rank markings on the side of the arm. I've seen on some images that the rank or this one has rank, the one I have, the picture I'm working from now, but sometimes they have other things on them. So I got to find out what the original one had on it. It might not have anything. That might be an addition. Like I said on Monday, there are a lot of variations of this throughout the years. People have kind of taken it and done their own thing. I mean, this is the official one, but people have had a lot of fun with it, kind of coming up with their own. Like I saw a modern one that has more of a Hornet type character, but I do want to keep this kind of close to the original. Yeah, Tim, absolutely. Walter Foster is still putting out a zillion books too. Do you remember, Tim? Do you remember John Nagy? Gnagy. So he had a bunch of how to draw books that we had as kids, and there was even a drawing kit too. When you bought the kit, I think we got it for Christmas or something. It came with a pencil and a kneaded eraser and, all this other stuff. It was quite amazing. They reissued the kit in the 90s, and I bought it from my brother. I found it and bought it from my brother. It was really cool. I think he still has it unopened. I'm like, no, you got to draw the apple. But yeah, all those Walter Foster books were great. Tim, I'm rereading the Albers Color book too. And I'm so tempted to just get another box of Color Aid paper to do the exercises. God, I hated that book. It's a great, like his understanding and his ability to teach people color, the relationship of color, how we view color was amazing. But as an undergrad, oh God, I'm like, why am I cutting up a bunch of squares of paper? I just want to paint stuff. Young and stupid I was. Books for the YouTube. Yeah, exactly. Or, like the Bill Alexander, and when he started doing his thing, and we had a guy on Saturday morning, local guy, and the show was called Captain Bob. And he was like this old-timey fisherman get up, and he would sit there at his easel, and he'd draw animals, and you draw with him, and it was a blast. So you're right, those are our YouTube. That's why it drives me nuts now. I hate to sound like the get off my lawn guy, but my first airbrush action was just barely a thing. The magazine. There were a bunch of books out, but that was it. It was like I didn't know anyone who airbrushed. I couldn't ask any questions. And now, like if I had the resources that I have now, that are there now, with YouTube, for instance, it's like, holy crap, I would have been so much farther, so much faster. You know what I mean? That's why it drives me nuts when people complain or don't want to look for the answers to their questions. They just want someone to answer it for them. I'm like, it's just so amazing that all this stuff, and this is just airbrushing, it's everything. It's like all this stuff is out there. It's like you can get at it, just amazing. Drawing comics the Marvel way, yes. But yeah, then, like I said, it allows me to be the get off my lawn guy. If someone's asking an obvious question, that they can literally spend 5 seconds to on any airbrush group, or watch a video for like 5 seconds. Kind of gets my get off my lawn going. Like, seriously, you're asking. I mean, it's not like, I don't know. Like, I get it. Sometimes it's easier to ask, or it's always easier to ask, than to actually do a little bit of homework. But you should save your question for, when you really need it. You know what I mean? When you've looked for the answer and you can't find it. Because it'll make you a better artist by far. Because you know what you're going to do as you're looking for that one answer. You're going to find answers to other questions that you may have while you're looking. So, and I please don't take it, you guys, as, don't ask me any questions. That's not what I mean by that. Don't ask Tim any questions because he's mean. He'll yell at you. Totally agree about the resources available. I've been so lucky to have information available. Yeah. And Tim, I mean, must have been like light speed for you because you were already classically trained. I know you came to the airbrush after, you know, you're already an established artist. So for you, it's just a matter of getting those few pieces of information, right? In order to apply what you already knew to just a new tool. So yeah, I'm envious of you for that for sure. Hit the ground running. Picked up within a few years. Yeah, no, I have no doubt. Because for you, it's just a mechanical thing. You know, it wasn't that you needed to, like, that's why I get it. When people just start, like, their first exposure to art is with an airbrush, like they just want to pick up an airbrush and go. That's a tall order. You know, you hear it all the time. Tim, I'm sure you hear it all the time, too. People ask who are getting into airbrushing, you know, do I need to know how to draw to airbrush? That's like one of the big questions. And, you know, it's funny because the short answer is no, you know, but that there's a caveat with that. You're going to be a much better airbrush artist if you can draw, period. You're going to be a much better artist in anything if you have the ability to see and draw. This little guy. Oh, that's awesome, Simon. Yeah, no, and you know, it's funny because back when YouTube was just really starting, you know, if you haven't seen any of Ed Hub's videos, I think he just restarted doing stuff, but he had a massive channel at the time, you know, for us, you know, for airbrush artists. And it was great because he was doing primarily automotive stuff. So if you wanted to get into that, but he did a lot of airbrushing and stuff. It's just really just a cool resource. And then Mike Learn paying. I mean, now it's like we're spoiled. You know, you want to put up a video, just put up a video. But back when live streaming wasn't a thing, you know, guys like Mike Learn, not guys like Mike Learn, but just Mike Learn, would pay to have the service so that he could go live. And it would be on his website, and you just log onto his website and watch him paint. And it was the coolest thing. Like all of a sudden you like can hang out with someone while they're in their studio working. And he would just turn the camera on. It wasn't like, you know, now it's gotten really slick and everyone has, you know, a zillion cameras or, you know, editing software and all that stuff. And it's great, but, you know, there's something just about having, you know, Mike turn on his camera and just go, you know. It was neat. He's still the man, but he's one of the few early. Yeah. Ed was Mr. YouTube, you know, which is great. Get a lot done on this, actually. I'm gonna run till I don't feel like doing this, and then because I've literally, you know, whole month to finish this, and it's not going to take that by any stretch. But I will do a little bit of the airbrush shading just so you can see how it kind of goes together. But right now I'm rolling, so I'm going to keep doing the outlining until I don't want to do that anymore. Oh my gosh, SeaBee is still awesome. He was doing his Saturday feeds. I know life is kind of getting in the way every once in a while with him, but But yeah, he's great to watch, and I'm glad he has such a good channel too. You know, him and Mike Flores too. You know, I know Mike has been kind of doing his thing too, so I haven't seen too much from him. But they all jump back on, and they both have big channels. Well, big for us. You know, I think SeaBee's around. He's north of 20,000 subscribers, and Mike has about 30,000. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff now, though. Yeah, now I can't get enough. Like, it's hard because, like, you know, obviously I watch a lot of airbrush stuff, so YouTube is suggesting a lot of airbrush stuff to me. But once you get it in the algorithm that you want to see other stuff, so I get a lot of oil painting video. You know, I follow a lot of oil painters, and I try to follow the smaller ones too, because they usually have great information, and it's, you know, they're accessible. So yeah, I love YouTube. I spend way too much time on YouTube. Fortunately, I leave it on while I'm working, so that even though my screen time is disgusting, it's not like I'm sitting here watching it. It's actually just running in the background while I'm doing other stuff, while I'm working here. Astro. I only had Airbrush Art and Action magazines. I would have thought that Edward Reed would have been on YouTube. Yeah, Ed changed. He kind of went digital, and I don't think he really looked back. I did catch up with him, I want to say recently, but it really wasn't now. It was probably about 10 years ago. And he was doing well. He was just, you know, he hadn't airbrushed very much when I talked to him, but yeah, I loved his style was like, a lot of people try to do that Olivia, you know, Olivia's now, but the 1950s style of pinup. But Edward had such a great understanding of the human figure. His figure painting, they were beautiful. They weren't just, yeah, they were sexy and all that, and, you know, whatever, you know, the pinup was supposed to be. But his proportions and the way he drew and the way he painted was just spot on. Just loved it. All right, the wings. Do I want to outline these in black, or do I want to outline these in white? I don't know. So let's do a test. Be right back. All right. These are the clear poly bags from the 543s. What we're going to do is we're going to try both. Paint on plastic is like paint on metal. It's not going to work real well, but I don't need it to either. I just need to kind of get an idea what this is going to look like. So we'll start with white, see what white looks like. I'm not even going to try. I just want to see what it's going to look like. It doesn't have to be good. That's white-ish. It's not going to be that heavy either. I just want to get a feel. I don't know. I don't know. What else am I missing here? I'm trying to keep an eye on the comments here. I often go back to the thought of how amazing it would be to have folks like Giger and Frazetta to do live streams. Yeah, no kidding, right? Scott Waddell, yeah. Yeah, so Astral, I was the same way. I remember, that's how I ended up not getting to know, but that's how I ended up being in contact with Mickey Harris. When I first started, I thought Airbrush Magazine was the magazine, Mickey Harris's magazine. I didn't realize that he had come after, or slightly after, Airbrush Action. So, but both of those magazines were great. That's where I first became aware of Eddie Wooters, was from Mickey's magazine, because Mickey ended up selling his magazine, and Eddie ended up being the, I think he was the editor. All right, so here's black. But yeah, I learned. Well, all right. So I did a YouTube thing on the airbrush books I have, because I have a bunch of them, and that's where I learned most of what I knew at the time was from the books, and then the magazines had popped up. So I kind of like the white. The black doesn't really show up. Sort of does. I mean, maybe we should do that outer wing just to make sure here. Yeah, it was great because a lot of the books had, exercises in them, like step by steps. So I would do all the step by steps and then try to apply those to projects that I was working on in school, because I got my first airbrush when I was in college. Here we go. Obviously it's not going to be that heavy, but I kind of like the white because it balances off the hat and the gloves, where the black, they just kind of disappear. I mean, that's not bad either, but I think I'll go with thin white line. I think that's the way it's going to work. What are you guys yelling? Simon. Oh, I'm glad. That's good. Yeah, I think I'm going to go white. It's the little things, right, Simon? Now, if this sucks, again, it has clear on it, so I can just get all this off. But I think after seeing that, I think white's going to go. Thinner line white. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Good. All right, so I learned this from my buddy Keith Hansen. So I'm gonna do this line all along his wing, and I'm gonna try to get up to the peak of this, the end of his wing right here. So from all the way over here, all the way up to here. Again, Simon was just talking about something really simple, but makes a big difference. So normally I would start it, I'd start painting right here, right? And what Keith had taught me was, which was great because I didn't even think about it, because as a pinstriper you think about this all the time. Find out where your hand is going to be when it ends. So my hand's going to be way up here, and I have to crane my hand backwards to get it back to that point like this. So he said start where the end of the line is going to be comfortable, like here. So now my hand's up here, so this is where I'm going to end the line, right? Now I have to stretch a little bit to get down here, but when I do this line now, the whole line is going to be comfortable, instead of being here and getting jammed up halfway and then having the line get all wonky. When he said it to me, I'm like, that makes so much sense, and I would have never thought of it. So I'm going to start basically, kind of set my hand up here and then reach down for this, and then I can even kind of do the practice run to make sure it feels smooth. Ta-da! Got a little bit of a gap right there in the middle, but I'm happy with that. I blame the great artists for making me follow this. Yeah, exactly. All right, same thing here. So I'm going to try to get this whole thing, which will be interesting because the brush isn't going to want to turn around this corner. It's going to want to kick out, so I got to be careful with it. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, there's the inner wing right here. Now I can get the rest of this guy back here. Nice. For the bottom one, it's difficult. Not difficult. Well, it is difficult a little bit. My hand doesn't really want to do this. Make a smiley face. It wants to do a frown. Just because of the way the muscles work in your hand. So I'm going to flip this upside down to make it easier for me. Stunning. Oh, I like that. Yeah, exactly. Isn't that cool? And again, that's, I've been painting since I was like old enough to hold a brush, but I never thought of that, you know? All right, are we done with the outlining? Did I really do all of it except for the anvil? I keep calling it an anvil because I have a train, like a piece of train rail that I have. That's my anvil. So every time I see that, I think of anvil, but it isn't. It's an I-beam. So I'm gonna keep calling it anvil. Okay, so we'll do a little bit. We'll just be able to finish this, except for I got to do a little bit of homework on, and maybe I'll just ask Wink what he wants on his arms. Maybe we'll make it personal for Wink. That might be the best idea. Okay, this is actually the fun part now. That was fun too, but this is more fun. So I've got black still in the brush. So now I can start shading. So there are two things that can happen here. I can use a template or I can just freehand it. It's just going to be a matter of trying to figure out which I can get away with. So on his cheek, for instance, I think I want to use a template just to kind of block off the gun stock, so I know I don't get anything on it. But as long as I take it slow, it's going to work out fine. Boom. All right, his hat. Is this paint spraying well enough though? I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to switch out to a really over reduced black, just because I don't need it to cover real well. I just need it to shade. So by going with a really over reduced black, I'll be able to get that done, and I won't get any like clumping or anything, which I don't want. Yeah, what we'll do is I'll finish the bulk of the bee, I think, or we may just finish the whole bee. Or we may finish the whole thing. How about that? Who knows? Much better. Okay, so now that this is super thin and it goes on really light, now I probably won't need too many templates at all, because I can really like slowly build this up and get super close without too much trouble. Now with super thin paint, it doesn't cover very well, so you got to be more patient with it. If I want to get it really dark, I can't just blast it in, because it's going to end up spider webbing everywhere. We all get our art skills standing on the shoulders of greats. Astro, that's so true. And I was going to actually do a Tech Tuesday on that very same thing because of Tim's suggestion, which let me show you real quick. The 543 suggestions, the one that Tim gave last week was the Zolt palette, which this is the painting that I did of that with that. And it's actually these three colors and then white as well. So it was such a great, it was a lot of fun to do this. And it got me thinking about, the people who say, oh yeah, I'm self-taught. It's like, why are you shooting yourself in the face? That's like being, I don't know, it's like you want to be Steve Jobs, you want to invent the next, Apple computer or whatever. But yet you're not going to learn anything about how to make a circuit board. You're going to learn all that yourself. Why wouldn't you start where someone else has left off? It's how our technology is what it is now. You know what I mean? Because we're standing on the shoulders of giants. We're looking at what learning from other people, and then innovating and taking it to the next step. So when I hear someone say, "Oh, I'm a self-taught artist," I'm like, "Well, that's great. You know, you're all the way back at the beginning with, whoever, wherever you just decide to start." It's like, why wouldn't you just get everything you can out of them and then be your own artist, you know? So anyway, so that's his old painting. I had a lot of fun with that. Just those four colors for all the skin tones. The guy was a genius. This is this is the UK feed. So this is a fried egg, but here in the United States, this is a sunny side up egg, which I had fun with. Tim asked about the shadow and the black for the egg, and I missed that comment, Tim. The shadow color for this egg is blumber, so it's raw umber and black. And yeah, like you said, Tim, yellow shadow and yellow can be dicey. This one actually goes to Bob's son, Matt. Matt won that on Monday, so he chose this one. I got to get this out to him. It's my little nuclear explosion in a bottle. And then finally, we have the flamingo and Thrall from Warcraft. So well, not all of them. The nuclear bottle one isn't going on the website, but all the other four are on the website, which allows me to do a little bit of shameless self-promotion right now. If you don't know already, we're doing the summer sale right now. Sum 24, get you everything off on the store, including those paintings I just showed you. So type in that code and get your discount. All right. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. Yeah, see, Tim. Well, and Tim, it helps that you were classically taught, because like any teaching, it's not so much what you learn; it's that they show you how to learn. And you never stop. You never stop. But yeah, that was, I don't know. It didn't, I mean, it doesn't bother me. People can do whatever they want. If they're happy, that's cool. But people taking pride in saying that they're self-taught artists was like, I don't know. I don't know if you know what you're really saying there. Plus, really, really, unless you live in a vacuum, you're not self-taught. You're learning from other people, whether it's just looking at their artwork or actively picking up stuff from them. So no one's self-taught. And that's the way it should be. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Oh, I forgot the lines on this glove. Plus, and there's just a speed thing, being self-taught, you're moving at a fraction of the speed you could be if you just, are taking the advice of someone who's already been through all the garbage. Why? Yeah, some of it you want to go through. You want to fight on some of it so that you can really learn. But a lot of it, it's like, why would you want to go through all the heartache that someone else went through? All right, so for this hand, so I just shaded this hand, that's all done. This hand, I'll do this the other way that I was talking about. So I could have, I know where all the lines are going because I have the little sketch here, the little artwork. So I could airbrush first and then do the other lines on there. That would have been totally fine too. It doesn't really matter in this one. It's just however you feel most comfortable, I guess. I like to do it, like I said, it depends. Because sometimes if you do the shading first and something goes sideways, you can, fix it with the outline. But, I guess it just depends on what you really want. So I don't want to put too much of this on because I do want to keep it I do want to keep it like really close to what the original was. You know, I just want to add a little bit that's going to kind of show people that it's not, again, not just a sticker, and it's not, you know, there's a little bit more going on there. You know what I mean? But you know, obviously I want to keep it close out of respect to the original artist. A little bit of shading on his jowl here. I don't know why he's cat-like, but it's fine. Everything's fine. Circle of sharing and learning is one of my favorite things about the art world. Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. Plus, from a selfish point of view too, if you can teach something, I believe if you can teach it, then you understand it. So a great way to make sure that you understand something is to explain it to someone else. If you can do that, then you really got it down. I forgot his little whiskers, because of course bees have whiskers. And now I can put in the missing Mickey lines, those little Mickey Mouse glove lines. Oh, and I got a little bit of white to do here too, because he's got highlights on his eyes, which are here and here, and his teeth don't need to be peach. Oh, his nose too. His nose kind of got blocked. But there we go! Yay! We did a thing! How much life do you guys have left in you? A little bit? Because we could actually finish the whole thing. Meaning, you know, I'll just do the, I'm going to say anvil again. We'll just knock out the, I can still do steel work, or I'm not going to do that with you guys. Maybe I will. I don't know. I'll figure out how much I want to abuse you guys. What I miss, Simon, yep, another great tip, such example things, game changer. I got that one. Oh, circle of sharing. Yeah, absolutely. I did see that one, Simon. Awesome. Yeah, let's, I may even have time to mow the lawn. Oh, I need my, I can't remember what Wink called this. So, I think he called it his charge. You know, so he obviously was a steel worker in the Navy. In you know, as a SeaBee. Yeah, I think he called it his charge. He asked if I could put in his charge. So again, same thing. This outline is hard to see, but it's okay. You know, it basically just cleans up the whole thing. The hook is also black, but I'm gonna leave it silver because I like it. Patty. Every time I walk by my model stuff, I get sad. I got to get back to it. It's just been insane. It's so funny. I knew better. I really knew better when I was talking to Bryant about, you know, when I started the all the Star Wars modeling stuff. I'm like, it's great. I want to get into the show and, you know, all the modeling shows and stuff, and yeah, that didn't work out so well. But I'll get it done sooner or later. Like I said, I think I said it in one of the videos too. Like, you know, I used to build scale models when I was a kid all the time. It was either drawing in the morning with Captain Bob or building model airplanes, or both. And you know, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so I would, you know, do my paper route, and then I would take all the money from the paper route and I would go down and buy a model, and you know, I could just barely afford to get the glue for it. Could rarely ever get the paint. Certainly not the paints that they recommended. You know, because when I was doing a lot of you know, World War II planes. I loved World War II planes, so I could never get, you know, the 10 bottles of paint for the colors that you needed for it. So this time around, like when I'm as an adult now, I'm starting to get back into it, and I'm like, oh, I can get all these tools. I can, you know, I don't have to use a broken X-Acto knife anymore like I used to. Just yeah, it was fun. Actually, that's there. I screwed that up. I'm going to have to fix that. So to fix this, I went too far on that line. To fix that, I got to let it dry. If I try to fix it right now, I'll end up smudging it all over the place. So I don't want to do that. Yes, this angle. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was going nuts. I like with that Star Wars model, the ATST model that I have right now. I'm like, I'm going to get the photo etch parts for it, and I don't have to buy the paint for it because I can mix all that now because you know, I'm better at that than I used to be as a kid. But all the other stuff, I'm like, yahoo! And now it's all like sitting in a box. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So that little bit extra there, that's not a problem. I'll just end up well, I'll let it fully dry, and then just like that, I'll probably hit with the eraser. We'll see if that'll be ready by the time we're done here. Yeah, Bob, I might have. So that painting Bob's talking about, I did, oh my gosh, what a great experience that was. So I did a painting of a crashed B-17 called Mercy's Medal. And the cool part about it was I met the son of one of the crew members from the plane. And he had taken a bunch of photos. So this plane basically it got back, but it crash landed when it got back. Um, so this guy, his primary job was a photographer for like when they would do bomb assessment photos and stuff like that. That's what this guy did. John, I think his name was John Clancy. It's definitely Clancy, but I can't remember his first name now. So it was the 303rd. So I was still doing a lot of airbrushing. I was in the middle of it, but I wanted to get back into oils. So that was right around the time those artisan, whatever they were, the water soluble oils came out. So I bought the whole set and canvases and all this stuff. And the painting that Bob's talking about of Mercy's Medal, I did that in oil, which was it was the first oil painting I'd done since I graduated school. And Bob has that now. But it was really, really cool. I met his son. We talked for a long time. I did a painting of his dad. It was just a really good, really good time overall. All right, I think that's dry now, so I can get rid of it. I'm gonna do the knife trick, I think, for this because I just don't want to mess with the eraser on this. I feel the eraser will dig in too much, and I may be screwing myself over right now by using the knife, but we'll find out in a second. I can fix this with a little bit of silver paint if I dig down too deep. Yeah, this is in the grain of the clear, which is a bummer. So I may end up gouging this too much. I did two paintings from the B-17 stuff. So it was good. I enjoyed that. And that was not a miniature painting. That was a regular size painting. If you still look up the 303rd Bomb Group, that was great. They have that they not only have my painting on their website, but they also have the original photograph that I was working from. And it's great. The plane was basically bottomed out in this field, and they're all like, there's like fire gear and all this stuff, but it got everyone home. It was amazing. Oh my gosh, Astral, that's not good. Other than the rank marks on his arm, we're done. So I'm going to torch you guys. We're going to do the letters because I don't want to look at this later. So I'm going to switch blues because when I showed you the little demo with the phthalo blue, I could see a little bit of green popping through, and I don't want that. So I'm going to switch to cobalt blue. Cobalt isn't opaque, so I get that going for me or against me, but it's the right blue. It's a little bit more like violet blue or blue violet. All right, let's see where did we leave off on the letters on the S. Yeah, that's better. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix the top. So I fixed the bottom, so I'm going to fix the top now. Same way. Just going to kind of put this here. Got my handy dandy ruler. Going to make sure this is going to flow out the way I want it to. Yeah, this color is way better. Okay. Same deal. I'm going to fix the tops of all these letters. Make sure I'm in line as I'm moving across this thing. Beauties. Yeah, I can always just drop the serifs in after. Serifs for those who don't do typography or any of that. So a serif is those little feet that are on the end of a letter. So little fancy feet. All right. So the way you guys, this is impossible for you to see because of the way that it is. I mean, you might be able to catch that I'm making these letters a little bit thinner, but it's really difficult to see because it's blue on blue, and you guys are at an angle where you really can't see what's going on. The way I'm doing it is I've lowered myself in the seat here so that I can see the reflection where I'm painting. And what that does for me is I'm really not painting by seeing the color. I'm painting by seeing the wet paint. So I don't have to really see the blue paint going down to know that I'm in the right spot. I can see the wetness of it, essentially. And I'm doing anything that's vertical right now, except for the O. The O obviously isn't vertical anyway. But still, I'm doing like the vertical, like I won't do the top and the bottom of the O yet. I'm going to turn it sideways. So that, again, and that goes with the range of motion thing. You know, my hand likes to do this way right now. And we talked a little bit about that yesterday on the Tokyo painting. It's range of motion. You know, it's your body works best in certain ways, so take advantage of that, you know? Sweet. Yeah, we are going to finish this. We're going to finish this right now. Just like that. Get these magnets out here. And then the big question is, what do I do? Do I have one more 543? Do I do it right now? Well, I mean, not with you guys. You guys are off the hook. But I could finish the last 543 now and then just worry about mowing the lawn tomorrow, or do I take a break and mow the lawn? I know, first world problems, right? I gotta mow the lawn before the lawnmower breaks because that's the next thing with everything going the way it's going. I swear to God, kids, if I come back in Monday and I tell you that the lawnmower broke, I'm gonna like lose my shite. So white, like everything else, like white doesn't want to spray well, it doesn't want to paintbrush well. So I knew I'd have to clean all this up like I'm doing right now. I just knew it. It's just, you know, it's just part of the game. to think that I could just like nail those letters and have them be perfect with the white, I just wasn't expecting that. All right, so now I can dry this off. And I can do just that. I can put the serifs back in that I accidentally took off. I can fix this anywhere where there is like the R here. This crossbar for the R is not in great shape, and the upright too. Put that serif back on there. This serif back here. Yeah, so this is good. All I got to do is touch base with Wink and find out what to put on this dude's arms. Yay, we're done. I'm going to back you guys out a little bit so you can... Actually, I'll do this one. It's probably easier. Yay, that's what we got. So it's cool with the aluminum leaf on the I-beam and also on the gun and his, you know, other tools. It just does this cool thing. Plus the wings have that holographic greenish. So that stuff, you know, would be difficult to get with a sticker. You know what I mean? And then I left enough room that Keith can do crazy pinstriping all over this too. So we did it. We did a thing. We finished it. Thanks, guys. It was awesome. I actually thought that we would end up just kind of like, I was going to do like a few things on it, you know, just to show you what I was going to do. And I thought I was going to do it all myself. But look at that. We did it. We finished it. I'm super excited. Don't have to look at that one now until it gets back to Massachusetts, which I'm excited about. For Monday, I have a cool portrait that I also need to get done before I go back to Massachusetts. So I will start that with you guys on Monday. Cute little girl, and so I need to get that portrait done. So I figured it would be fun since we haven't done any portraits really on Monday night in a while. So that's kind of the sneak preview for that. And then you can also see the 543s that I have. I'm excited about those too. So we have a good lineup on Monday night. It's our pre-4th of July extravaganza. So yeah, sort of, yeah. All right, kids, thank you very much. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. It was awesome. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy everything. Be good to one another. And yeah, and I will catch you guys soon. All right, later.